We are waiting for our special guest to join us. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Instagram live series, Policy and Power, with our incredible guest today, Victoria Lai. You can see our past recordings on our website, nwbc.org, or our YouTube channel, and we're just really excited today. The purpose behind the IG Live series that we do is really to highlight inspiring journeys of, women entrepreneurs like Victoria, and also show how policy can influence their experiences in their journeys. I'm going to give you a little bit of a background on NWBC and then a bio of our special guest, and then we're going to dive into it directly. So I'm very proud to be the chair of the National Women's Business Council. We're a nonpartisan, independent federal advisory council that was enacted in 1988 with the enactment of the Women Business Ownership Act. And if you would believe it, 36 years ago, women were not able to get business loan without male co-signers. So that changed in 1988. And also the women business centers were created that are centers that help women start business. And we have about 160 of them across the US right now. Our council members are appointed. They are women entrepreneurs from both sides of the aisle and national leaders of women organizations. We represent 13 million women business owners, and our job is to give advice to the president, Congress, and the SBA about anything to do with women business ownership and entrepreneurships. And we do that by holding conversations like this with business leaders, policymakers, constituents, and we hold public meetings, roundtables, and all kinds of other events that help us do that. And at the end, we create a policy recommendation at the end of each year, and it'll be ready in a few weeks, so we'll share that with everyone. And there's been a lot of stride in women business ownership, and today women own more than 42% of women businesses, employ more than 12 million people, and generate 2.7 trillion to the economy. And if all else was equal with men, women business owners could generate 7.2 trillion to the economy, which is just unbelievable numbers. So I'm going to go straight into introducing our amazing speaker, Victoria. She's the founder and chief ice cream entrepreneurs of Ice Cream Jubilee. She originally started working as a lawyer and a presidential appointee at U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services in the Department of Homeland Security. She started Ice Cream Jubilee as a blog that features her passion for inventing ice cream flavors. And in 2013, she entered her flavors in a citywide ice cream competition and won the People's Choice for Best Ice Cream. And inspired by this, she left her job in 2014 to open her store in Navy Yard area of Washington, D.C. She manages finance, operations, growth, human resources, marketing, everything for the company. Right now, it has locations in DC and then ships nationwide, available at Whole Foods and all kinds of other places. And Ice Cream Jubilee has been recognized as the best ice cream in DC and one of the best ice cream shops in the US in the past 7 years in a row. And I have to say that my daughter, who lives in DC, is a huge fan of all your favors, and I just love what you do. She holds a JD from Fordham University and a BA from Wellesley College. So just thank you so much. We're going to start the questions. I just wanted to ask everyone to please put your questions in the chat, and we will get to it as we're doing this. So let's just dive in. Victoria, what inspired you to transition, I guess, from a career in law to founding Ice Cream Jubilee? And what in your background, I guess, influenced you and approach it as an entrepreneur?
Well, thank you, Sima, so much for having me here. The National Women's Business Center is such an important organization. For decades has been doing such important work, and I'm so grateful to be here to share a little bit of my story. Before I was a lawyer, before I even went to college, my mother was a small business owner. She and her brother had a construction business in Houston. And so I spent my, after schools visiting the construction site. I spent my weekends, doing the mailers, the little stickies of the addresses so she could do that for her open houses. And I loved her sense of purpose. I love her hustle. I like being busy. And I think I got that from her. Um, so there was that, and I think I absorbed her sense of work. What I didn't realize at the time was, like moms can do incredible things and you just will see them as your mom. But, as a Chinese woman in Texas, having her own small construction company, I had no idea of the challenges she was facing. you know After I went to college, or through college, I became a community organizer, and I think that that's where I really learned what some of the skills that helped me as a business owner. Because to me, community organizing is talking to people around you and having a shared vision of a better future. And what could be a better future than having more ice cream in your life? I figured, after doing, advocating for transportation options and policies and political figures, like ice cream was going to be an easy sell. But I ended up going and getting a law degree first, and really trying out the education route. This was really what my parents wanted me to have a solid backing on. And they weren't wrong. Parents aren't wrong. That, it did give me a good foundation. But I am glad that I found my voice through ice cream and could go through it. I think that having a law degree, it didn't make small business ownership a piece of cake, but I did practice more law, I felt, on a daily basis, and do more mathematics as a business owner than I ever did as a lawyer. So I could write a sharply worded letter. I could, go through the government paperwork, read through a press release and from the government, and know whether or not there was an opportunity there for me. And those sorts of things, I just think, came through many years of working in law and other places.
I mean, me and you talked earlier, and we share a lot of the same stories about, immigrant parents starting their own businesses, and how that influences you, and education being so important. And I think it is so true that we learn so much from our parents and what they've done, and it ingrains a lot of our work ethics also, I guess. And what I love that you said is that, doing the community organizing that you did, I guess sharing ice cream can really put you all on the same footing, and comparing flavors. Like, it's such a great way to bring people together on anything. So I just love that story. I wanted to see, as a woman entrepreneur, like, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced early on, and what advice would you, I guess, give others facing similar hurdles?
Yeah, I was very fortunate to have so many people who were supportive of me going out on my own and opening a small business, even though it was not familiar to them and it was not familiar to me. So when they would come to me and say, "Oh, Victoria, come to me if you have any questions, if you need any help, let me know how I can help." And then they would say that, and the line is out the door, and I'm running out of ice cream, and the air conditioning is breaking, and like somebody's just called out, and I'm like,
Um, Victoria, um, Victoria. Gigi, Gigi. Hello. Hello? Hello, Victoria. I'm sorry, everyone. We're all having some difficulty. Sorry, we
Hi.
co we completely, I think it was my the joys of internet, I guess. Something happened. I so apologize.
Not a problem. Not a
Okay.
problem. Yeah. So, the thing is, once you get in your business, once your doors are open, it's all about operations, right? So
Mhm.
I had told myself, oh, mentorship is so important. Staying connected to people who can help you, seeing the big picture is so important. But, when you're drinking from a fire hose and things are going wrong and you're trying to do everything at the same time, how do you maintain that balance? So when I first opened Ice Cream Jubilee, that first weekend, the lines were out the door. We ran out of ice cream. My mother wanted to soak in the experience. I immediately sent her to make more food so we could sell, because it was like all hands on deck. But I had to, you know, separate myself from that to say, okay, well, what are the things that I can actually ask people? Not, can you come and work the cashier for a second, even though I did have friends who would come and do that. How do you maintain your balance so you can you can run your business and not be inside your business? One of the best books that I read before I opened was The E-Myth, The Entrepreneur Myth. So if you love baking, become a baker. Don't become a bakery owner. If you love organizing and running organizations, then maybe business ownership is right for you. And keeping that in my head all the time helped me balance where I should be as a business owner.
What do you think, what policies do you think would have helped you,
Yeah.
I guess, when you started and throughout being in there? What do you wish were there that would have helped you do it easier or just have access to more resources?
Gosh, well,
And please forgive me because our internet is just really sparse.
no
Going
problem.
somewhere to make sure we have access. Go ahead, please.
No. It's engaging. So, some of the things that really helped my business is, well, there's an informal thing, which was my network of women entrepreneurs and women owners and food business owners. That was invaluable. And through this network of other businesses, I learned that there was a bank, a small independent bank that I wouldn't have heard about otherwise or worked with, that had been approved by Barack Obama's Jobs Act and the Washington, D.C. government to provide collateral-free loans. So basically, it was a bank loan that the District of Columbia, and other states did this too. So a state or a district would front the collateral for this private bank loan, and that money was paid for by the federal government. That was everything for me. I was newly married. I was hoping to have kids. I knew that every time I wanted to grow my business, I would have to put our family home on the line. And it wasn't fair to my husband. It wasn't fair to my stepson or our future. So having that opportunity was immense. It was wonderful. Another thing that helped me later on in my business was the fact that Washington, D.C. has free pre-K3. So for my employees, many of my employees at Ice Cream Jubilee were young women returning to the workforce after having pregnancies. So they had little kids and they needed a reliable place to be able to have a full day of childcare, not something that's 9 to 12, like a full day so they can get back in the workforce. And that made a big difference in their lives, and it made a big difference in my business too.
That makes a lot of sense. We talk a lot in our policy recommendations and over the year how much access to affordable childcare, how important that is so that you can be able to do that work. And also access to loans, you know, whether it's SBA loans. Me and you talked earlier, and we were
Yeah.
saying part of the issue is also that not people may not know about these kind of loans that are out there. So what can we do to make sure that there's knowledge about whatever the government is providing? And that's what we do at MWBC, just to make sure that we, like what you're telling us, is helpful to make sure to go back and request collateral-free loans.
Absolutely. You know, when I was looking back to see the name of the legislation that helped me grow my business in this way, I came across a press release from, you know, from the administration at that point. And I read through it and I was like, this doesn't seem like it's announcing a collateral-free loan. It doesn't seem like it could help me. So even if I had read it at the time, it wouldn't have helped. And that's where the networks come through. That's where the NWBC comes through to say, like, this is how you translate this massive amount of money that's going to commerce, going to SBA, going to states, can affect you. And this is why it's a few $1,000s in your pocket to get new equipment, to hire new people, and to grow your business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know you recently mentioned selling majority stake in your business. And I guess what inspired you to do that? And how did you approach the succession planning to ensure that it's a smooth transition? Is it something, and I guess a second question in that is that, were you thinking about this in the beginning as to what is my succession plan when you started this?
You know, I think that when in the first year or year or two of having Ice Cream Jubilee as an established business, I was still almost thinking of it in the mindset of what it was before. You know, it was a side hustle, it was a hobby, it was a challenge that I was setting for myself. I think that as I grew into it, I started, I see as I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I think of my business very much as I think of my world as a mother, right? When you have babies and you're in the thick of things, you're not thinking about how you're going to feel when they go to college.
Yeah.
But as they get to be 8, 9 years old, a little bit more self-sufficient, you can take a moment, you'll say, oh, wow, well, you know, the world is so much bigger for my kids. So they need to meet the world. The world needs to meet them. Like, what can they do beyond it? And that's how I thought about transitioning out of a founder CEO role, because I knew that my limitations, my strengths are in startups, and my limitations are in, you know, the large food industry, and getting into nationwide grocery stores and doing that whole world. I was learning it very quickly, but not as quickly as somebody whose whole business is around that, right? So, you know, it did change the way I thought about things because, you know, this was also right around the pandemic time. So, so when I thought about capital, I thought not only about recovery from the pandemic, I also thought about where would future debt, future loans, future investments place myself as I talk to investors or to a new owner of the business. How are they going to chart their growth of the business with the decisions that I've already made?
You're very good in methodically thinking and projecting in the future, and that's great advice. I mean, that's why we do this, so, you know, people starting their business can think about all this.
I mean, you know, what's wonderful for me is that even when I was thinking in a very organized, logical way, if it got overwhelming, I always could create a new flavor. And when making your product relieves your stress, you know that you found a good place, because it's very easy to start hating it, right? Because it is all consuming. But I felt like, you know, even when I was separating myself or imagining a world where I wasn't part of it, I could still express my personality, my joy, through the things that I was serving to people on a daily basis. So I love that I have that balance.
I love that. Do your kids, they must love this. I just can imagine.
They absolutely do. They love it, and they love going to Ice Cream Jubilee. They love that they know the flavors. They love that there are pictures around the house of like me just starting out. And I will say that it was very, very special. I remember it was, you know, March or April of 2020, and I had a 3-year-old at the time. And we just went driving just to get out of the house. And I said, you know what? I have the keys to the store. I'm going to check up on it. And we went in there, and because everything was still frozen, I could just get her a scoop of ice cream. And it was magical.
Yeah,
Ice cream is always magical, but that was really special.
that is absolutely special. I'm sure every other child would be jealous of that.
Mm-hmm.
If you knew back then when you started what you know now, what lessons would you share with aspiring women entrepreneurs looking to start their own businesses?
Well,
Or hobby, or making, how do they turn, what you just said, it gives you joy, how to turn your passion into to a successful
yeah,
business.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll start with that. I think that um, uh, the way that I transitioned my hobbies into something more like a side hustle that I thought that could become a business was to set goals for myself. So just like if you were training for a marathon, I know that coaches or shoe stores will give you a chart. Like in 8 weeks out, you need to be running 16 miles. In this minute, you need to be running 20 miles. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to challenge myself through the summer. I'm going to make so much ice cream, I'm going to get sick of it. And so I said, I'm going to make 4 flavors of ice cream. I'm going to blog about it. I'm going to learn about social media. I'm going to practice writing press releases. And if nobody sees it, nobody sees it. But like, this is why the media exists, to find news that delights people, to find great stories like this. If I can do it, then that's great. And then I can pat myself on the back just like I had run a marathon, except it's ice cream. So isn't that better?
I love
And
that.
then, and then maybe you get sick of it. I mean, I've gotten sick of plenty of hobbies and haven't turned it into business, but I'm very glad that I pushed myself to those limits before I took a big leap. You have to know that you can work your business and understand every aspect of it before you quit everything and join it. Of course, you're going to learn more when you get into it. Once I started Ice Cream Jubilee, I realized that this isn't a food business. This is a communications medium. This is a real estate business. This is a community engagement tool. This is so much more, and you have to love the base level.
It's what you're saying is just go for it and try it all the way and make sure you go through all the options. And I love that. And I love the way you're looking at it, that afterwards you learn that it's not just a business, there's so much more to it, and you learn so much from it. We're going to look to see at some of the questions that are coming in, because I know your story is just so incredible. So we're getting a question. It's known for its Ice Cream Jubilee is known for its unique and creative flavors. How do you balance innovation with customer references? And I guess, what is your most surprising flavor that has been successful?
Well, I think that what I've learned is that when you're true to yourself, and your inspiration comes from an authentic place, you're going to strike a chord with somebody. You just need to make sure your message gets out there. So we loved doing Chinese New Year flavors, and because Chinese New Year is always in the dead of winter at the end of January, and we had the time to be more creative, to add more creative flavors into it. So we had Dan Tot ice cream, which is a egg custard, and we had like flaky pastry dough in this eggy custard ice cream. But egg custard is very much like a French vanilla, so it was authentic, and people realized that, oh, even though I've never heard of this Chinese dessert, it's so much like French vanilla with pieces of croissant mixed into it, or something like that. Oh, we have so much in common. And I loved being able to say, it sounds foreign, but it's not. Because isn't that a message that we could learn in so many different things? And to bring it to children, especially, to say, like, you didn't know that you liked this, and adults as well. But at the same time, kids, including my own, always wanted a blue ice cream, right? There's something about blue ice cream that they feel is everything that they need. So I resisted that for a very, very long time so we could keep an all natural ingredient palette. But there are different ways to make it in a natural way. You just have to measure out whether or not it's the right thing to do.
So how do you get, I guess, the feedback, you know, being an entrepreneur and wanting to constantly innovate new things, you get, how do you, I guess, where's the source of your feedback for you, other than your own intuition and your children, of course?
Well, certainly, of course, you know, you have your sales records, you know which flavors are selling the fastest. Just from our inventory, we knew that cookies and cookie dough was always our best seller, and it continues to be our best seller. Between Oreos and cookie dough in a vanilla ice cream, you can't go wrong. Just, you don't have to know ice cream to know that's going to sell well.
Yeah.
But other things like Thai iced tea was surprisingly really, really popular. Banana bourbon caramel, we weren't sure if that was going to do well in all markets, and people love it because it's a little like banana bread. It's a little bit warm. It's very familiar. You know, so we have inventory, all the our point of sale records that, and then also just monitoring. People are very happy to give their opinion on Facebook and Instagram and emails and any other way. So, and then to people working at Ice Cream Jubilee. So listening to that is important because the feedback is there.
We have a lot of questions
Okay.
still coming, but I wish we could have this for another several hours because you're so full of information. We're going to put this Instagram live on our website so people can go back to, but I want to encourage everyone to follow Victoria Lai on all her social media feeds. She's just incredible. You know, your insight about, you know, what made you start your business, what made you decide to sell it, what sources helped you, what resources should people look at, what policies should be. That's exactly what we do at NWBC, bringing people together to see what will help them. Please look at our, we're just releasing a new report research on STEM, women in STEM, and then our 2024 recommendations come out next week. So I'd love all of you to look at it, and Victoria would love to have your input on it once that's out. I want to encourage everyone to stay connected to NWBC. Please sign up on our newsletter, join our Instagram, join all our social media platform. Is there any last advice you have to people who are young women who want to start their own business and maybe have qualms, don't know who to talk to, what to do? What would be your last advice that you would give them?
I think it's important for everyone, but especially women, to remember that if you have an idea, no one will know how great it is and how successful it is until you start telling people about it and you start doing it. So if you have an idea and you're not ready to take the leap, then just tell everybody about it, and you'll see who are your champions, and then prototype it to them, and then let them be your advocates, and then keep working towards that until you believe in yourself as much as they believe in you, because they will make your ideas stronger, and you are the key to making it come true.
I am so looking forward to being in DC very soon, and I hope we can meet at one of your locations, and I want to try every flavor you have.
I love it. I love that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. Just so impressed and in awe with what you do, and can't wait to see what else you're going to do next.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me and for everything that you do.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Bye.